Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
I'll have to abstain since I was at another meeting. All those in favor?
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting for October 27th, 2022?
I have a motion, Lauren Raven, to amend the minutes to read in section
It's
6,
on.
new business, under B, for the traffic ordinance for the 15-minute parking request. The last sentence is missing some information. So at the end of the 15-minute, it should also include maximum parking time permanent.
Janet
So
Stone.
make the 15-minute maximum parking time permanent.
So Janet Stone McWigan, I'll second.
Thank you for that correction. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank
So I
you.
motion that we approve the minutes as amended.
Oh, Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
And finally, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of October 27th, 2022?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
Okay, all those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to take up a vote to discuss closing the avenue on Monday, part of it, for the funeral of Lieutenant Pannone. Can I get a second?
Lauren Raven, I second.
No, she's already seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's early. All's in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, going on to the updates. I'll start it off. Tonight we have the YWCA's Women Who Inspire Awards at Greenwich Country Club. Congratulations to all those who are being honored. We have Veterans Day events tomorrow, starting off with some of the schools. I know I'll be at COSCOB at 9. Unfortunately, I'll be missing Riverside, which is another great ceremony. And then we have the walk down Greenwich Avenue, as always, starting at 10:30, and then the Byram ceremony and a walk at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So hope to see you all there. Saturday we have the Silver Shield Foundation coming to Greenwich. It's mainly a New York, New Jersey foundation, but one of the founders' daughters, James Fuchs, founded it with George Steinbrenner. And Casey is somebody who grew up in Greenwich, a great friend, and they do this every year at Todd's Point, and people from all over the tri-state area will be there. Thanks to the fire department for giving us the truck to put the flag, and it's a walk. So, and they raise some funds there for their good works. And just to know, even though they normally don't do this, they gave $60,000 to the family of Officer DeMonte in Bristol, and I know Officer Hamsey's family is also receiving support. But this is to put his help educate the two children of Officer DeMonte. So they do really good works, and if you can, it's a beautiful ceremony. Sunday we will have the vigil for mental health at Roger Sherman Baldwin Park, and I think that's at 4 o'clock, I believe. And then Wednesday the 16th, we have the Yukon Climate Forum I know Janet will be there, at the high school. On the 17th, Thursday, we have the Employee Service Awards. That night, we have the Greenwich Old Timers Athletic Association dinner, which is always fun. We do national and state national and local honorees. It's a really fun night. We get hundreds and hundreds of Greenwich residents coming there. Monday, we're going to have be at Nathaniel Witherall for an on-site visit from Alaire, one of the respondents to the RFP that we put out about Nathaniel Witherall, just to see, to do our due diligence. And the next meeting will be on November 22nd, rather than Thursday the 24th, because Thursday the 24th is Thanksgiving. And your birthday.
Very important.
Well, it's a holiday. It's a national holiday. Not many people get that, so your importance is duly noted. Thank you, Ken, and happy birthday. And also, this past week we had an election, and congratulations to all who had their name on the ballot. It's certainly not easy. It's not easy on them. It's not easy on their families. And so for putting themselves out there, we thank them. And we wish all those that were victorious good luck in their new roles. And we look forward to working with them. So with that, thank you. I will turn to my right up on the screen and turn it over to Selectwoman Rabin.
Thanks, Fred. Good morning, everyone. Just a quick update on the building committees that I am the liaison to. The Central Middle School Building Committee, we did select the architect and have started to have exploratory meetings, also understand some of the implications of the site. I think most people are familiar with some of the way that that site looks with the rocks, the drainage of the fields, et cetera. So that's exciting to start to move forward. For the GHS Security Vestibule Committee, we are now looking at drawings that are more in line with the budget and still support the educational specifications for creating that security space and entrance into the main office. Still continuing to meet with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board and Advisory. We had a joint meeting with Planning and Zoning just to update them on some of what we are seeing in terms of inquiries from developers. So a couple of developments in town, we're looking for some assistance in creating more affordable housing units. These would be fresh, new. There's also some interest in donating to the trust and using it as a fee in lieu of affordable housing. So that's an interesting idea. And we continue to look at town-owned property and explore ideas for where we might develop on land that the town owns in conjunction with Greenwich communities. And that's my update. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. And good morning, Janet.
Good morning. Likewise, I'm looking forward to the YWCA's Women Who Inspire Awards tonight. I'm also looking forward to tomorrow's Veterans Day ceremonies and parades. Fingers crossed it won't rain. Saturday morning, yes, the Silver Shield Walk at the Point. From 1 to 4 at Coscob train station, there's going to be the Great Pumpkin Rescue, including Smashing Pumpkins, not the group. I'm dating myself, obviously. And that night, I'm going to look forward to some very peaceful time out at the Greenwich Symphony Orchestra's performance at the high school's PAC. Sunday, yes, there's the Better Tomorrow Vigil at Roger Sherman Baldwin Park. I believe it's at 4:30, though. Monday, the League of Women Voters is hosting its Harvard case study. That's from 7 to 8:30 at Greenwich Academy. A pre-registration is required. Go to lwvgreenwich.org. Yes, Wednesday is the UConn's climate panel. Experts will talk about UConn's climate plan. I'm looking forward to that. That's at the high school as well. And yes, there's a pre-registration required. Just go to rsvp@uconn.edu. And likewise, I would like to acknowledge that Tuesday was a big day. I similarly congratulate all of the candidates. It was a very passionate campaign, and I appreciate that everyone involved wants to serve Greenwich. I think that we as a community just need to take a deep breath and wait for the results of the state senate. But likewise, I look forward to when we know all of the results to congratulating all of the winners. But mostly, I would like to thank all of our voters because it requires some work, and everybody has to come out. And without the vote, that's the lifeblood of democracy. So thank you to all who voted.
Thank you, and great point, and thank you to all of our poll workers, all the people behind the scenes, and also in the registrar's office, as well as the town clerks. They put in a lot of hours there, and without them, obviously, we couldn't have successful elections, so thank you to all involved. Now going on to old business. First item is the road closure request again for Arch Street to Greenwich Avenue on December 18th, 2022 for the menorah lighting. Is Shira here? Is she on? Yeah, I don't know. I should have brought mine.
She's in the, I don't see her.
Well, if she's not, I mean, I could take it from here. I mean, I know it's pretty clear what they're asking, which is something we've done now for the last 3 years, and they're just looking for that little stretch of road. But I'll ask my colleagues if they have any questions or comments before we vote.
Well, I think, weren't we waiting to find out that they got all of the required permits? Do we have feedback on that?
Well, fire and police, and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the fire truck there.
Yeah.
And they usually come by and we light everything for them.
Yes, I know. And there wasn't many other ones. I know.
Oh, you wanted me to talk about, have to
Could
close
you
that
step
road?
up if you're gonna, I just wanna make
Sure.
sure. you step up the microphone. Or I can give you mine. Sorry. For Don, you can.
I just, Chief McHugh here, yeah, just for closing that road, because last year there was definitely some issues with the cars on Arch Street and, some of the people trying to get candy, because Arch Street wasn't closed. Because Arch Street wasn't closed, so it definitely would be beneficial for the safety of people, taking, part in it. I mean, it's really a police department matter, but, just.
To
for
close
big
that-
spirit, it was a little dangerous for the people taking part in the event.
And this year, I mean, the only difference this year, well, one of the differences is they would have that closed, and also to have some seats there. They wanted some chairs there in the middle of the road. But what is the GPD? Anything to add to this?
I can't speak for the chief. Ultimately, it'll be his decision to sign off on it, but we always do have.
Yeah, it's never an issue. I don't know what other permits there would be for that. I know when you do other events, walks, there's other sign-offs you need. But this one, I'm not sure what you need. But since it's December 18th, we could hold it off one more time. I hate to do that, but we could just hold it off. Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, sure. Thanks. And then we'll ask them to come back again, and I'll shoot the rabbi a note.
But just for the record, Deputy Chief Craig Gray, I'm not exactly sure what Chief Heavey, whether he's signed off on the permit or not. There's always some concerns when you shut a road, and particularly when there's going to be obstructions inside the road, if there is a necessity for police response, fire response, ambulance response. So he's got to take a look at it.
I appreciate it, and it's been a tough week for everybody at the GPD, so I understand that. So we'll put this off just to get these,
Okay.
in 2 weeks. We have some time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going on to the next item is the amendment to the traffic ordinance for the 15-minute and 2-hour metered parking in the Amadrone Crossway parking lot. DC Gray. Yes. We're trying to get your steps in today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much. For the record, Deputy Chief Gray, Director of Parking Services. It was presented at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. Is there anything else I need to discuss or answer any questions? Or?
No, the only feedback I've gotten has been positive, which has been the case from the beginning. So
Yeah.
we just did the formality of waiting the 2 weeks just to see if we got any feedback, but I have not. I'll ask my colleagues if they've received any.
No.
And Parking Services, since the last meeting, has received no negatives from the public.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief? Okay, so I guess, do we have a motion?
Lauren Raven, I motion we approve the amendment to traffic ordinance for 15-minute and 2-hour metered parking in the Amadrone Crossway parking lot.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thanks, Luann. Okay, last item on the under old business is the Pullman and Comley request for a conflict waiver, and we have Town Attorney Barbara Schellenberg here with us. Good morning, Barbara.
Barbara, I have the motion.
Good morning. Excuse me?
I have the motion.
Oh, actually, it can be simplified because now we have a letter that sets forth exactly what they're looking for. So you can make a motion simply to approve based on that letter.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, again, I had appeared before you at the last meeting to explain that Pullman and Cumley is looking for a conflict waiver because the town wants to hire the firm to provide legal assistance and advice to the town in connection with the Nathaniel Witherell Nursing Home potential leasing agreement. And you had asked for some written information on that, which has now been provided. So you have the actual letter that explains exactly what the potential conflicts are, with a list of the current cases where Pullman Cumley is representing plaintiffs in litigation against the town. Those are all tax appeals, and there is one zoning appeal as well. So again, we don't feel that this is of any concern because the attorneys who are handling those matters will not be involved in this matter for the town and Nathaniel Witherell. There will be an ethical wall set up to make sure that there's no crossover. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I have no questions. I don't know if my colleagues do. Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll entertain a motion. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Lauren Raven, I motion that we approve Pullman and Collins' request for conflict waiver based on their submitted conflict waiver letter.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Going on to new business, we have the Historic District Commission's request to be appointed study committee for the Samuel Ferris House application for designation as a local historic property placement on the National Register of Historic Places, and we have Ann Young of the Historic District Commission with us. She'll be joining us momentarily online.
Hi,
Hi, Ann, how are you?
good. How are you? Do you need me to speak or?
Yes, if you could
Can-
just tell us, this is a first read for under new business for this application. So if you could just explain, summarize it for us, and we'll, I want to see if we have any questions or comments after that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, this is very similar, almost identical to an application that you saw earlier this year in January. However, this is a private residence located at 1 Cary Road in Riverside. It's the oldest house in Riverside. It is now owned by a nonprofit that is looking to place the designation local historic property on it, which, as you know, offers the strictest protection to ensure that this house basically stays as much as it can. Probably will see, a few more additions, but it'll be something that will stay within the community for years and years and years to come. What I am asking is for the Board of Selectmen to appoint the Historic District Commission, the study committee, and they in turn will be producing a historic report that will identify not only the architectural details of the house and what is important and what has been added over the years, but it will also provide a historic narrative of the house. And what that will entail is certainly a bit of a biography of the past owners of the house, along with, and this house is a little bit unusual, in that it was moved 90 feet to its north to make way for the widening of the Post Road. So all these different details also included in there was when the first selectman who was creating affordable housing for the returning veterans of World War II proclaimed that this house was so important, and in the time of need, why should they demolish a house when they can actually use it for the returning veterans? So it really has just, a wonderful, fascinating history, which I look forward to sharing with you at another time when the study report is done. But this is part of the process that is required by the state to then have the local historic property designation.
Well, thank you so much. That's an interesting history of the house there, and I guess it was part of 33 acres at the time, which is not uncommon for back then. We had much larger tracts of land, and the first selectman at the time was a familiar name to everybody, Wilbur Peck. So interesting stuff. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any comments or questions.
I don't have any questions. I'm just going to say thank you for what you do, because preserving our historic treasures, that's what makes Greenwich Greenwich. So thank you.
Thank you.
And no questions from me either. It is exciting to know that this could move forward and then never be demolished. Should it acquire, or should it receive all the necessary designations? And I did forget during my update that we are looking for an alternate for the Historic District Commission. So I thought, since we were talking about it, I might as well make the plug right now to everybody in the audience or whoever is paying attention to our Board of Selectmen meetings.
I second that.
All those in favor? No, kidding. All right, well, thank you so much. We'll wait 2 weeks to vote it, just in case we want some public input, but I think you have 3 yes votes here. So we'll just take this up again just to allow the public to weigh in if there is any opinion on it. But we're grateful for your work on this, and as you echo my colleagues, preserving these historic structures is really a big part of Greenwich.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions in the interim prior to the meeting, but I welcome all questions, so thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks. Next up is the Fairfield County Hazardous Incident Response Team Interlocal Agreement with Assistant Town Attorney Amina Abed and Chief McHugh.
Good morning, everybody. Do you want me to talk about it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, if you
okay,
just
so
give us
before
summary.
you is what's called the Fairfield County Hazardous Incident Response Team. It's a countywide hazardous material team. What does that mean is, like, hazardous material could be any sort of chemicals or stuff on the highways or stuff like that. With 95, Route 1, there's a lot of hazardous materials within this town, within this county. So how this works is we become part of an agreement, which we've been taking part of for many years, but they really want to finalize this agreement by bringing it to our board of governing board to approve it. We have 4 members on the team. The team can be activated. We have hazardous material resources within our department, but this expands our resources throughout the county. So God forbid a major tanker truck rollover on 95 or something like that, they would respond with some other resources to help us mitigate the situation. So it's a $3,000 yearly membership, but the resources are valuable to the fire department and other fire departments that we have.
Well, thank you, Chief. I would agree, and certainly, is there any time sensitivity with this? Because we normally, as a first read, would wait 2 weeks to get some public input.
Not so much time sensitive. They kind of want to get it done sooner than later. They're lawyers for the team, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
happy to.
Yeah, hopefully go through the process. We'll go to the RTM sometime in December, hopefully for the approval.
Yeah, I'm okay, because this is a public safety issue.
Yeah, right. It's a public. Yes.
So, I mean,
Touch on just a couple of
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, Mr.
Morning.
First Selectman, members of the board. My name is Amina Ahmad. I'm Assistant Town Attorney. As you know, I've been working with Chief McHugh on this. I actually want to remind you, or maybe not remind you, but you had looked at this agreement back in March of 2020. It was a slightly different Board of Selectmen. So we had brought this agreement to you, but then the pandemic shut everything down. And so we're back here again. So you had actually approved the agreement, but we thought we'd come back to you, new fire chief and just new board. So just want to remind you that this has been reviewed by the board 2 years ago. There's a specific state statute for these types of agreements, and that state statute requires that the final approval for the agreement come from the legislative body of the town. So this will go to the RTM. Mr. Camillo, you asked about timing. Again, I don't believe there's any emergency. Greenwich has been participating in this since
Since 1999.
1999. So they're already doing this, but we're trying to formalize the process and also do it keeping in mind the statutory process that's required. We were thinking of submitting it to the RTM whenever you vote on it. Whenever you're done, we will then put a package together and present it to the RTM.
No, thank you so much. I see no reason in holding it up, especially since we've been going over it for 2.5 years. Kidding, kidding. But I'll certainly respect my colleagues' views on this and see what their thoughts are.
I'll agree that I don't think that we should arbitrarily set aside our tradition of a second read. But in this, because I mean, everybody who comes before us wants to get something done faster rather than not. But in this case, there, as you say, there is a public safety element to it, and if the board has reviewed it earlier, and if this is something that is, let's say, routine and accepted practice, then I'm also fine.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's a 23-year membership in it, and again, it's something that is public safety related. So I know we do try to let the public normally weigh in, but I don't think anybody would come out against.
Right.
against
Well, and
this.
they'll have, if it goes before the RTM, they'll have that opportunity. And I think there is a time sensitivity because the RTM meeting in December is moved up. So I forget when the call closes, but
13th or 14th is the actual meeting, so it would be a few weeks before. Yeah, good point.
right.
Thank you. Lauren, any?
I'm fine with moving forward. I thought it was familiar, especially when you see all the signatures of the other fire chiefs and first selectmen of the other towns that are a part of this. So I have no issue moving forward with it.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, Chief.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm gonna
I
appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Anna.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the floor regarding the interlocal agreement?
So Lauren Raven, I motion that we approve the Fairfield County Hazardous Incident Response Team interlocal agreement.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up, we have the endorsement of the joint application with the City of Stamford for a grant from the Connecticut Recreational Trails Fund, and we have Vin DeMarco is here, and I don't know if Bobby D'Angelo is joining us online. No, just Vin solo. Thanks, pal.
Since there's only two here, and I've already sent this, a picture of this, to this in a minute. Send a picture.
Oh, you did. Thank you. Good preparation. Thanks, Vin.
Good morning, Vin DeMarco. I am representing the Bicycle Task Force, the First Selectmen's Bicycle Task Force. And I'm riding solo this morning. It looks like, unfortunately, Bob is with his father right now. He's not doing so well. So he would love to have been here, but can't. And others, I guess, are busy with things. So this can be very simple, or it can be complicated. I think the simplicity of it it is as it appears on the agenda. It's simply asking for endorsement for the town of Greenwich to jointly apply for a grant from the Recreational Trails Fund. It's an annual thing. But what we're, I guess the key to this is what we're trying to do is to keep moving forward with the effort to become a more bicycle-friendly town. And when I say bicycle-friendly, that really should be clarified. It isn't just all about bicycles. It's about every means of every form of mobility, including ADA. So bicycle-friendly really is just kind of the term, but it's sort of global in effect. So we're trying to move this forward. What this grant application would do, we already have the East Coast Greenway. We're asking with this request also is that what this request would, the endorsement would do is to confirm that the town acknowledges that the East Coast Greenway really is the best route east to west in town. And this grant would help provide funding for design that DPW would apply for. What we felt, or personally I felt, in the last meeting of the Greenwich-Stamford and now what we're calling the Fairfield County Bicycle Initiative or Cooperative or something like that, is that, oh, hi Mike, is that Stamford does not need any approvals. The DPW needs no approvals to go ahead and apply for a grant of this sort. Where in Greenwich, it's a little unclear whether or not there needs to be an endorsement by the traffic authority, the Board of Selectmen. So I felt it was important that we at least get that endorsement. And also at the same time, we're asking that or we're trying to convey to the grant, what's the right word? The grantors, the grantees, that that Greenwich is in the game. That Greenwich really wants to make this happen. So basically, that's what it is. There's a lot more behind all of this. This has been a long progression. I shared with you. And this just happened yesterday, and this is an important piece, I think, because of the fact that we don't have wide enough roads to be able to just put bike lanes down everywhere. We have to be creative about this in order to make it safe for everybody to use whatever means of transportation they would like within the law. That means that in some cases, we may be looking at parkland, to be able to put a trail through a park, let's say. And interestingly, that Bob D'Angelo and I met with Joe Siciliano yesterday, and he had already been thinking about this kind of a thing. Fred, you had it in your mind as well, as to put bicycle trails where there are walking trails. So our parks are really an important piece to this. So what's interesting about that document that I just laid on the table there in the green is that's a bike route that was created, and Fred, you alluded to this, that you would use this to ride from Byram all the way to Old Greenwich, to Greenwich Point. And that's actually what that is, and was created. We're not sure, we haven't gotten a date yet, but Joe was able to pull it out of the archives yesterday, a copy of that actual bike plan with the bike route sign on it. We knew it existed. We saw it. We remember riding it, but the signs are gone. In their place are signs for the East Coast Greenway, which is basically the same route, except that it doesn't go into Greenwich Point, but no big deal. So this grant really is being sort of targeted for the East Coast Greenway. We're just asking that we just move this forward and kind of stamp it and say, yeah, let's do this application with, for funds that'll help us. What's interesting about also about what in our discussion with Joe yesterday was I put another document out this morning. I think I emailed it to everybody this morning. I have copies of it if you'd like to see it, on which I had listed a bunch of budget recommendations for this year for bicycle improvements. And these are things that we talked about in the over the last 8 months or whatever it is in the bicycle task force, looking at some of the things we asked for last year and the year before that don't get funded for whatever reason. And in that document, I listed the current out years line items and the amount of money that is projected for those things. Obviously, that's going to change in this budget. We realize that. But one thing that was not listed on there that Joe brought up yesterday, and this is an important piece, is that currently from last year's budget, there was $150,000 approved for an ADA study of all the parks basically. And Joe was thinking, well, wait a minute. If we're going to do ADA, we're going to figure out how to make it our parks ADA accessible. Take, for example, Bruce Park, which is in our minds as a key piece. Joe was thinking about it as a key piece. Fred, you were involved in those discussions as well. There are already sidewalks there. They could be widened, or maybe one route be widened to become a multi-use path. And so what we're trying to do is to actually put or encourage DPW and Parks and Rec to work more closely together along those lines so that we might be able to actually create some real safe off-road routes or segments of the route in this process. So there already is some funding that Joe would like to try to expand, not expand the funding, but to expand the scope of what that ADA analysis would do. This funding that we're just asking the town to agree to endorse would supplement that. That's it.
Thank you so much, Finn. Just a point of clarification. I want to make it clear because when we first discussed the bike route, there was an RTM member who thought that we were spending money on this and we were widening roads and was ready to make a speech on the RTM floor, and I told her that that was not the case. It's already there. So the budget recommendations is totally separate from the.
Yes.
So I just wanted to get that out there in the paper because it was misread, and they thought that at least one RTM member thought that we were widening roads and spending millions of dollars, and I had to tell her that that was not the case. But just so we're clear, just to get it out there. No, I appreciate it, and I think there are opportunities. You do point to some of the budgeted recommendations, and I think some of these things are very, very, very doable. You and I have had lots of conversations about this, and I think there's some, whether it's a multi-use path or an adjoining path next to a walking trail in the park. I mean, not every park may have the ability to do it, but I think we think a lot of them do. And it would just allow our bikers to enjoy our parks like our walkers do and our hikers do. And I'm more of a hiker, and I shouldn't hog up the whole thing myself, right? So we want Vinny there too, and Bobby. So I think it's a great idea, and I know you're making headway on that, which is great. And I look forward to the coming months where we not only see some progress on that and be able maybe to start to look at actually putting some dollars towards it. I don't think it's that much to get it done, but also the lower hanging fruit, which is the sharrows on the road and certainly in our parks and Todd's Point. I think that's just made to order for that, and that's something I think we can get done sooner rather than later. So thank you for bringing this to us.
Just as an aside, to make everybody feel like we're really actually doing something, we did a bike clinic earlier this week at Riverside School for 65 kids, 65, all three grades, all three fifth grade classes. And now North Mianus is interested, and so is ISD. They would like to do the same sort of thing. So we're trying to teach this next generation that, you know, and maybe get the town to say, we really support this. You know, the parents are behind it. They want to know where they can ride safely. So this is the effort that we're making. It's kind of a cooperation of a lot of different things to try to make it happen. But thanks.
It's good. Thank you. Good plan. Education is a key with that. So thank you.
So thank you, Vin, and the Bike Task Force for all the work that you've done. Like you, I support not just seeing Greenwich become a bike-friendly town, but I hope that the town pursues complete streets planning, which, as you say, isn't just about bikes. It's about pedestrian safety. It's about accessibility, and it's about trees. We want our paths to be shaded as well. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Vin. Lauren, any comments?
No, just gratitude as well.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we'll talk again in 2 weeks. All right. Thank you, and our best to Mr. D'Angelo. Thank you. Okay. And last on the list of new business items is the Wescombe Wood Road closure and detour. And we have Senior Civil Engineer Gabriella Sarcosta-Cohe there. Good morning, Gabriella.
Good morning, Board of Selectmen. My name is Gabriella Sarcosta-Cohe, Senior Civil Engineer with the Town of Greenwich and Project Manager for this project. I'm here today to request a closure and detour for the replacement of the Wescombe Wood Road Bridge. It's a 1.5 mile detour. The bridge replacement project involves the demolition of the existing bridge, drilling of H-piles for the foundation, installation of precast reinforced concrete sections, construction of end walls, the stonework required to replace the existing stone to the same look and feel as existing, install decorative crosswalks, additional sidewalk, and drainage. The proposed detour is looking to use Sound Beach Avenue to West End Avenue, Summit Road, Drinkwater Place, Owen Way into Wescombe Wood Road again, and Arch Street. The detour is proposed for both directions. We're looking to close approximately 165 linear feet of roadway. The roadway there is typically used by 2,500 vehicles a day. When designing this detour right here, we looked at the roadway width, turning movements, vertical clearance. For instance, the bridge underneath the railroad doesn't accommodate larger vehicles, so we had to extend that detour to Drinkwater Place. We looked at the condition of the existing roadway. We had discussions with the fire department to make sure that they are comfortable with this detour, to make sure that there aren't any concerns with the turning movements for fire trucks. They're comfortable with it. They support this project, support the detour. We had, to date, we've had 2 public hearings and 1 public information meeting where we presented this detour. It was included in those meetings. We've had positive feedback on the project. No complaints so far. We understand with detours that people have to go out of their way, but I think everyone understands this is a project that needs to be done. We're using ABC construction techniques, which is accelerated bridge construction, which minimizes the the time frame for construction, so we're able to get in, get out quickly. Hopefully this time next year we should be wrapping the construction up and get this completed soon. Being that we've already had 2 public hearings and 1 public information meeting, we are comfortable with this detour the way it is shown. We're waiting for a DEP permit, which is expected on Monday. And as soon as we have that in place, we're looking to go out to bid as soon as possible so that we can have a contractor on board to start as soon as spring is ready for us. So with that being said, DPW is formally requesting acceptance of this road closure and detour for the replacement of the Wescombe Wood Road Bridge.
Thank you, Gabriella. Up to date with these public hearings, has there been significant concern or questions from the neighborhood?
Mostly for, because it is a scenic road, so just looking to make sure that we're putting back the same elements, but no concern for the detour.
Good. Yeah, that's. I think most people understand it needs to be done, but I figured because it's in the historic, the scenic road area there, that there would be some concern. So that makes sense. I know you said that you wanted to get this done, and you're getting a deep approval hopefully by Monday. With a 2-week delay of approval on this, even though I'm pretty sure we're going to say yes, affect you in any way at all?
We would not like to go out to bid unless we have that approval in place. So if anything can be done today, that would be appreciated, considering we've already had 2 public hearings and a public information meeting.
Okay, thank you. Comments, concerns from my colleagues?
As you know, I usually prefer that there's a second read, but I will agree that if there has been public information sessions and hearings, I'm fine. I understand that we're getting into the holiday, and so,
Yeah. I mean, this would be one where you really would need the 2 weeks if it had not been for those public hearings, because
Correct.
just for concerns that we
Correct.
may have missed, other time may have missed, so I appreciate that. And I don't see any concern or questions from Lauren?
No concern.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gail, I appreciate it. Is there a motion to approve the Wescombe Wood Road closure and detour?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Coming to the end of the meeting, public comment section. Do we have anybody who would like to say a few brief words? Peter, how are you? Good morning.
Well, I've
Yep,
been flunking my test for 12 days now, but should I stay 6 weeks? Anybody else?
Go out through there and come back. No, you yeah, you have your mask on. So go.
Last time I tested positive was 12 days ago. My first positive. You already turned it off?
Yes, it's on.
Thank you. I'm Peter Alexander, lifelong resident, and now over half that licensed landscape architect here in town. And I wanted to clarify the notes from the October 13th meeting, where it needs a little clarification, and I apologize for not expressing myself more clearly. I can, don't worry, it's short. It starts with landscape architect Peter Alexander, but I would like to have the A capitalized because I'm not a contractor. I'm not asking for any money from the town. I'm in the middle. It's a project that I've been working on for 12 years, and the results that I've found about the runoff calculations for all 4 of our watersheds, especially the Byram River,
needs some specific attention. And my concern and understanding is that there are areas where the town is responsible for toxic runoff long-term. And I'm not asking about obtaining indemnifications from the town. I'm offering indemnifications from the town and to the town. In other words, I won't sue you guys for screwing up, to put it bluntly, because I love the town. I want to protect the town as well as many citizens as we can. My experience goes back to being the first paid consultant at the Love Canal in the 70s, and I realized that pushing this off and pushing this responsibility off will only make things worse. You graciously endorsed the Fairfield County Hazardous Incident Response Team. I'd like to have you just endorse and have the legal department figure out all the legal stuff, that we hold each other mutually indemnified, so that the studies that I do, the areas that I do, when we put out the methods to correct some of this, you understand that the information I receive is ours, not mine, not yours, both ours, so that we can work together to make it better and keep the legal implications as small as possible. I don't want to get into some of the specifics, but I am particularly concerned about 3 sites that we could talk about after you say okay. But the first thing I'd like to say is that, or the last thing I'd like to say is that conduct soil and water testing at Caroline Pond, Byram River was originally requested, and I'm afraid that's how some of my expressions didn't come across. I'm talking about throughout the town. I did the first digital mapping of the Mianus River first, 1989, and I know what I'm talking about, and I want to make sure I'm looking out for you, and you know it, and you're looking out for me officially. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. If you could present something, even in again, another request, and we'll have everybody take another look at that as far as the indemnification goes. I know what you're asking, but okay, yeah. I mean, I don't have I don't have the power myself to do it. All right, we will circle back on that one. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other public comment out there? Do we have any appointments or nominations? Seeing none.
Not at this time.
Thank you. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, everybody here, for joining us today.